Ugh, what for you bury me on cold, cold ground? All right, welcome to my first video that I'm officially going to have to do as a two-parter because there's just too much to cover with this thing. What you see before you is my latest acquisition from JQ Sabers. Darren at JQ Sabers whipped up this Apprentice Hilt with a Proffie 1.5 soundboard full of goodies, and it has certain attributes which are unique to the saber. One of that is being a black leather wrap. So I got a black leather wrap. I got a black weathered cover tick wheel. He added copper on the rings here, and of course those are weathered. And I opted for a black switch. This is kind of a Sith flavored lightsaber, and it has very light weathering, some of which I think maybe has come off because I've been handling this thing a lot. So let me go over the features. It's a very simple design. So you have your pommel there with the vents. It's a very unique design. Only that's really how you can identify JQ Sabers hilt, is mostly by the pommels. They either are straight like this or they just kind of like angle in, unless you're getting something extremely custom, or they're doing a their version of if they're doing a commission for a saber that's been requested to, say if you want an Obi-Wan, which I definitely would have them make for me. I will say right off the bat that as far as neopixel sabers go, I'm probably only going to be buying them from JQ Sabers because I know that I'm going to get the quality that I want, and I've already been working with the person that makes them. I know him by name now, and I have their email address, and you develop these bonds and intimate relationships with your sabersmith, and that sort of opens up avenues into the possibilities to really get just about anything you want. And having open communication also, make sure that things don't go awry. I mean, a lot of the saber companies that exist don't really keep you abreast of the development of your saber, mostly because, to their credit, they're a very large company and they have a lot of work to do, so that doesn't really leave much time for the personal touch. But with JQ Sabers, I get that, and the pricing that they offer. I mean, this saber, with what it can do, I would have expected to spend at least twice as much anywhere else, literally, and so I'm extremely thrilled by all aspects of this transaction. At any rate, so you can see, got some more weathering there. The wrapping was very well done. Some of the it's been dyed a little bit, and it's sort of, I don't know if you can see, comes off on my hands. But I get that. I experienced that with most of my sabers that have a leather up anyway. It seems to be par for the course. And so I think I mentioned this is going to be a two-parter. I'm not really going to go over the fonts and show you all the features of the fonts. They're just the default fonts that I think come with the Proffie board, although they may have been installed specifically by Darren at JQ Sabers, but I'm not too sure how that works. I'm sure someone out there has probably purchased a saber with a Proffie 1.5, and it seems like default fonts, but it gives you the full experience of what the saber can do. I mean, it covers everything that you're not want for trying any of the features. They're all available initially when you receive it. I think, I don't know exactly how many sound banks I have. Not too many. I don't think it's more than 10. But and one of them is broken, but that's okay. And the only thing that's sort of remiss is they didn't give me one that has blue. So I might try to go in there and customize one, but I have questions, and I'm not ready to do that. So I'm just showing you what I know at this point. So there's your kill key and your auxiliary key for features, and the LED retention screw, blade retention screw, Blade goes in probably to about there, so it's in there good and firm. The blade I acquired from Dark Wolf Sabers. That's an eBay, not eBay, a Facebook page, and he sells these neopixel blades at a really, really good price, and it's solid. It works really well. It actually shipped from China, which was a little bit unusual. I don't think he actually makes them himself. He has an agreement with someone. And you can see the emitter is just really simple, but it's almost nickel plated smooth. And these scallop bits right here, they're surprisingly subtle and surprisingly effective. This saber is, other people might handle it and think, oh, that's so heavy. Why is it so heavy? And, well, it's made out of aluminum. It's a big chunk of aluminum filled with stuff. So it's going to be heavy. But to me, I've been having issues with my right arm. I've been swinging sabers so much lately that I'm starting to, I'm beyond dead arm, and I'm just sort of I have pain, but it's not like I'm wrecking my arm kind of pain. It's just sort of like, it's just muscle pain, and it's nothing too severe. But this saber doesn't hurt my arm at all. It's lightweight. It's perfectly balanced. There's no sharp bits. There's no greebles other than the CoverTech wheel. When the kill key is removed, it is, removed, so that's not an issue. It's just smooth and effective, and it's a perfect weapon, and that's why this is currently my favorite saber. So, as I said, this has a Proffie 1.5 board. It has smooth swing. It does effects. It even has a drag feature, blaster block, lock up. It does, obviously, the blade scrolls. It does, well, you'll see everything in the next video. I'll show you what it can do. But for now, I'm just going to show you basically what you get with a Proffie 1.5. So take out the kill key, and you're going to hear the default font. Now, the thing about this saber and the soundboard is, regardless of what font you are on when you turn the saber off and put the kill key in, it seems to default to the same first font. And on this, it's sort of I think it's a Darth Maul flavored. Well, one of the sounds, one of the boot up sounds in here is Darth Maul, but the rest of it is not. So if anybody recognizes this font, please tell me what it is, because I don't have a listing of all the fonts on here, but this one seems to be possibly unique to this saber. So here we go.
I have been waiting.
So it's giving me this kind of Knights of the Old Republic vibe, or something to that effect. All right, so here's your boot up sound. I'll point this at the blade. All right, so you have your boot up. Has a backlit switch that changes color as the blade changes color. Now, being a proprietary, an open source board, all the sound banks are basically limited to whatever blade color is programmed for that profile. So there's no color switching on the fly. You cannot do that. Now, as far as features go, if you double tap this, at least with the Sith font, this doesn't happen with all of them. It kind of does a force push, but it's not really a force push. It's more of well, you'll hear. Watch this, or listen to this, or do both.
Such weak flesh.
And as it's speaking, the blade is doing effects.
I sense your terror.
Now these are all at random, so sometimes they repeat ad nauseum.
Such weak flesh.
There you go.
Give up. I am Sith. I am Sith. I sense your terror. Such weak flesh.
So you get the gist. And so far, this is the only font that seems to do that, which is kind of unusual. And it's also what makes me think that this was a font that Darren actually put on there specifically for me. So the blade color is extremely bright. I mean, it's a neopixel blade. What do you expect? If you put this next to any normal tri-Cree or quad-Cree, there's no comparison. It'll make the other one look dim by comparison. So you've got, of course, and I'll do this on my leg because you really shouldn't do this on any surface that can damage the blade. I mean, it does have LEDs in it, so. So as you do this, the effect of the clash moves up and down the blade to random locations, which is spectacular. Here's the blaster block effect. Again, it's never in the same place twice. Holding the auxiliary key gives you your lockup, which with this particular color is glorious. And I found that as far as the making contact with the surface, if you initiate the lockup with the blade pointed down, it kind of just automatically does it. It doesn't seem to do it flush or up. It's just something that happens when it's down automatically to give you this effect. Now, I don't know if newer Proffie boards function differently, but that's currently how this one tends to operate. So, that pretty much, other than the fact that, and I've demonstrated this before, you get smooth swing. So that's that font. Now, what I wanted to demonstrate next is a feature that I find particularly amusing, and I love it to bits. Doesn't work on this font, but it will work if I go to switching fonts. Here's an interesting thing. For switching fonts, you just hit the auxiliary switch.
Smooth Jedi. Smooth Gray.
And that's the font that I want. If I wanted to go back, as you hit the auxiliary switch, it goes forward in the font banks. What I learned from watching someone, I wish I could remember his name. He had a video that really was super informative. I'm gonna go back and actually find out who that was and recommend his video to everybody. You know, if you get any of the Proffie boards, it was extremely helpful in figuring out how to use this thing, because I had questions and he had answers. If you wanted to go back in the banks, you can actually hit it's a timing thing. You hit the auxiliary switch and then immediately tap the activation button, and it actually goes backwards in the font, so you don't have to scroll through all of them. You can actually just go backwards. So, as I said, it's a timing thing. I can't really I could try, but...
Smooth Jedi. At last we will have our revenge.
Alright, so I executed it. That went back to the Sith font. So it went back 2 fonts exactly as it should. So that's a wonderful thing to know if you have one of these. It's otherwise you sit there scrolling through fonts for... If you have 50 fonts on the thing, you know, or however many you could put on here, it would take a while. So anyway, let's go back forward.
Smooth Jedi. Smooth Gray.
Alright, so I'll show you what this one looks like. Really simple, very light purple blade. The flash on clash is very subdued. It's not too impressive, but you can see the switch has turned purple, and it's a nice font. I do enjoy this one, but here's why I selected that. If you turn it off, and if you hold down the button for 2 seconds, all of the fonts that are on this currently, other than the Sith font, they don't all play a different orchestral suite, but they each play an orchestral suite. And I've listened to this whole thing. It's 10 minutes long. And it's the whole piece of music. If you know anything about orchestral music, this is so much fun. And here's the real kicker. While that's playing, it will continue playing. I know you can't hear it because the speaker is ridiculously loud. It's glorious. You can hear the music. If you really pay attention. So all these effects, be it the... Alright, let's turn this off. You just hold down for 2 seconds, it turns off. All of these effects are concurrent and they overlap each other. So if you have the music and the sabers activated and you're smooth swinging and you're clashing, you can hear all this stuff. It's just a cacophony of noise. This thing has the ability to just wrecks shop. It's just amazing. So I'm gonna be disciplined. I want to show you all the other fonts, but I'm gonna do that in a separate video. Otherwise, this video will be 30 minutes long, and that's just too much. That's overkill. And I've rambled on long enough. But I do want to say that you can obviously remove the pommel. The chassis comes out. It's not too much of a chore to do that. This is a very well made install. The wires, he did an amazing job with the wires. They're just, I mean, I might show it to you later, but I don't want to do it now. The wires are completely wrapped up and tied off with whatever you call it. It's tied off. It's very clean inside. The only questions that I have, there's a port, and I imagine it works kind of like a rice port, and it should be able to connect to my computer. But I have a very old Lenovo that only runs Windows 7, so even though I have the appropriate connecting cable, I wasn't able to access the soundboard with my computer, but it may work with something that's Windows 10 or newer. I'm not too sure. Anybody out there who might know about that, please let me know. The other thing is, there's supposed to be an SD card in here. Now, I found something that looks like an SD card, but it didn't seem to... I was not able to remove whatever's in there. Not without... I just felt concerned about the possibility of damaging the soundboard, and I did not want to do that. Now, what I found was something that looked like an SD card, a micro SD, underneath that port in here. And I haven't identified, what the situation is in here. I've taken it out it's very... You can take it out very liberally. There's no restriction. You don't feel like you're damaging it. It's just very, very well constructed and user friendly. And the whole board will come out and you can kind of inspect it. But I didn't see anything that looked like a micro SD card in there. So that's important. I have sound fonts that I'm planning on putting on the Saber when I'm feeling adventurous at some point. Try to learn how to use the Proffie board. I've already downloaded the manual. I've read the manual. Insofar as my tiny little brain is capable of understanding what they're talking about, because being that this is open source, you program this Saber with it's like actually doing computer programming. It's not about using configurations. You're actually putting in lines of code that basically instruct the Saber what to do with each sound font, what colors to use, the flicker rate, what effects. It's a very impressive process, but it's not the most user friendly. One of these days, I'll get a CFX, and that is supposed to be much more user friendly and also loaded with features, and probably far outshines this. But for my money right now, this Saber is just glorious. Lastly, this does use a lithium-ion 18650. The kill key is also the recharge port. I received a charger with the Saber from JQ Sabers, and the charger works better than the charger that I had from JQ Sabers. It's I don't know. I think the other one just kind of wore out a bit. And the other thing I've learned is any Saber that basically runs lithium ion 18650. You probably can just use the same charger as long as the port size is the same. I've been concerned about burnout, but apparently that's not an issue. So I've heard from multiple sources. Lastly, what you need to know about a neopixel saber is that there's considerable battery drain. Generally speaking, the saber is doing so much and it's so active that it's really a drain on the battery, and it goes fast. I would say the life of this would probably be maybe an hour and a half of continuous use, if that, and then it starts to behave oddly, and that's actually by design to let you know that the battery is getting low, and you might want to consider either swapping the battery out, which is removable. It's not too difficult in that regard, or just giving it the requisite. I found that it takes like three, maybe 4 hours to charge it. At least I haven't completely drained it, but when I received, obviously there was some drain just from the fact that it was transitioning from one location to the other, and it probably had sat around not being charged for about a week. So that took a few hours. As far as I know, inserting the kill key should put it into kind of a deep state mode. As you can see with the kill key in, it doesn't work. I've heard otherwise. I've heard that it's still active even with that situation, but that might be old data. At any rate, I'm gonna wrap this video up pretty soon. It's a big one. Just gotta give you a quick visual tour, and I really like the copper. I even like the weathering on the copper. I can't express how much I'm in love with the saber. This thing is just better than I could have imagined. I'm having to kind of speed this up because I'm at an odd angle because we have a Christmas tree here for some reason. That's new. I didn't do that. Check out the weathering on there. I really like that. At any rate, like I said, there'll be a part 2, and I'll go over all the fonts that came equipped on this, and show you all the effects, and that should be pretty interesting. And on that bombshell, I really want to wish everyone happy holidays, whatever you're doing today, however you celebrate it, lands afar. I know everyone culturally does different things. I'm American, so I'm having myself some turkey. Yep, gotta have myself some turkey, some mashed taters, gotta have stuffing, the whole 9 yards. You know how it is. And this is probably one of my favorite relaxation holidays of all time. But here I am working, delivering you this wonderful review. Yeah, is it wonderful? Did you like it? I liked it. Anyway, you guys are epic. And I'm quite fond of all of you. You know that. You know that, right? Yeah, you know I like you. All right. Sorry. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you later. All right. Have a good one. Bye.